episode of the Better 2 podcast is brought to you by Kitty Mystic and DM Needham, author of My Days with the Dark Muse, as well as Love is Worth Waiting For. Hi, gang. Donna here. Thanks for tuning in to the Better 2 podcast. Today's guest is Sarah Owens of Hudson Valley. Sarah and I talk about her journey from living in New York back in 2017 and deciding to move with her husband to Nashville and pursue her musical dream. They formed a band, they had some singles, and then the pandemic. All right. So we talk all about that and we talk about where they're going now. So stay tuned. Hi, Sarah. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you doing, Donna?
I am doing great. So I noticed today, and I know that I'm going to just jump right in. I know you got a single that just came out called Shut Me Up.
Mm-hmm.
And how excited are you about that?
Super excited. We've actually been sitting on this song for a hot minute now because it was one of those things that we decided to do during the pandemic when we couldn't be out and playing and that kind of thing. And, it's just like, well, what should we do? And so, well, let's go in and record some music. And this was one of those songs that we've been playing since we became a band. So we were super excited to get in and record it. And it's like, I feel like it was forever ago at this point. So I'm so glad it's finally out.
Well, and the pandemic just seemed to have kept going and going and going. So
yeah,
completely understand. So you started this band back in 2019.
Yes.
Now there's Richie Owens.
Yes.
Is this your partner or brother?
This is my husband. Yes. Actually, that's funny that you say that because not too many people ask, but I could see how it could totally be misconstrued.
Well, I grew up in the 80s and there was two bands that I liked that one had three Taylors and one had three Ferris brothers. And yes, the Ferris brothers were brothers and the Taylors were not. So
got to put that out there right out the gate.
That's right. It's always best to ask. So you guys decided, I know before this, you were in a cover band and you actually got to play with Keith Urban.
I did. Oh boy, you went digging.
I like to dig.
Okay.
So yes, what was that experience like? Oh, sorry.
That was amazing. He's one of the nicest people in the industry that I've ever met. It was my first time ever playing to a crowd of 20,000 people. So that was a big deal. I hadn't been doing music for a minute at that point. And it was just kind of a fluke that he needed somebody. And the radio stations where I'm from back in the Hudson River Valley had said something about, like, hey, do you know this girl? And we kind of discussed some things and it was very, very cool. But he's one of the nicest people that I've ever met. And it definitely got me back to feeling confident enough that, oh, hey, maybe I can do this,
Mm-hmm. And that's always something, being a creative person, that there's that little imposter syndrome that rears its ugly head of, can I really do this? Or am I kidding myself?
Every now and then it's there.
But you've done really well. I mean, you formed the band. Were you guys already married at this point or?
When Richie and I were playing in New York, we were not married at the time. But then we got married in 2017 in November. And then we moved to Nashville in February of 2018. So that was it. We hit the ground running.
And you were all in at that point because, yeah. I mean, moving from New York to Nashville, that's a big move.
It was, yes.
And I imagine culture shock too.
A little bit. Everybody's nice here. That was different.
Yeah, in high school, I moved from New Orleans to Shreveport. So it was kind of a major culture shock because Shreveport wasn't what it is now.
Okay.
It was, yeah. It was more of a Bible Belt. Hollywood hadn't hit there yet. So it was kind of, very conservative.
Oh,
do what?
It was a little bit shocking.
Yes. And the accent was completely different. But so let's talk about this for a second. So what made you decide that we're taking the big move? We're going to do this seriously and we're going to move to Nashville and we're going to hit the ground running. And you have there's your resume here is impressive. So what made you decide that you were all in? I mean, there's people that say, oh, I'm going to do this, but they don't. Me.
Okay.
what made you decide? Because I mean, I moved to Dallas because I was going to be in a band, and well, that didn't pan out. But so what made you not give up on this?
I have a strong support system, so I feel like that has a lot to do with it. I feel like, like when you're growing up, a lot of that has a lot to do with how you see yourself as an adult. So I've always felt I can do this, which is a good thing. But the reason that we even came down here was because at the time, well, actually in 2017, so it was like a full year before we had decided to move down, I had been contacted because I was doing female solo stuff by myself. My husband was still drumming for me at the time, but it was just as Sarah Warden at the time, my maiden name. And I had a team down here in Nashville that had reached out and said, we'd love to work with you, do like an artist development type of deal. And that's what we did. And I came down and I was writing. I don't know if you remember, or if you're overly fond of 90s country, but I was writing with Cherie Austin and Will Rambo. And that was like a big deal for me.
Oh, yeah.
Once we had done, we had a good chunk of songs and stuff written, and we were doing these like writers rounds around town. They were like, we really think you could do this. You should be here. And it was like, well, let me ask my husband. So I was like, because it was so funny because he came from this punk rock world in New York. And it was like, yeah, you can hear it every now and then in our songs. It comes out. But it was like, you want to give up everything and, go be a country music artist in Nashville with your wife. And it, so far, so good. I can't complain.
Hey, if he's happy and you're happy, that's all that matters.
That's what we said.
That's the thing. As long as you had that good support system, you can do anything. So when did you start singing? Did you start singing as a little kid? Were you in choir? I mean, what was it, just something that you just picked up and you knew?
Always did it. Since I think my parents said 2 or 3, always just singing, always been in love with 90s country music. That was when I was growing up. So the 90s female voices that I heard growing up, Martina, Faith, Trisha, like those that was what I listened to. That was what I tried to emulate as much as I could. I went to one vocal lesson and they told my parents that they couldn't make me stop doing this twang thing that I was doing. And my parents were like, well, then we're not coming back because we like that. And that was how it was. So I did one half-assed vocal lesson ever in my whole life. And it was just one of those things. I've literally been singing since I can remember. And then I started professionally doing music when I was, I think, 7, maybe 8. I was doing jingles for toys on the TV.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, I wasn't in the commercials, but I was the voice on the commercials.
Hey, it still works and it's still fun and you can still go back and go.
As a kid, I could care less.
Yeah. I mean, you had fun and I'm sure you had a little cash and you could buy things and,
I got free toys that came along with it for whatever the jingle was. So that was like, for me, sold.
Bonus. Definitely bonus. Yeah. So I'm looking at your bio and I'm looking at the resume and it's talking about the fact that you guys were really, before the pandemic, you guys were cruising. You guys had songs climbing the charts. You had a gig, which you're back at Blake Shelton's Ole Red now, I see. But you played the Bluebird. I've had people on the show that have aspired to play the Bluebird. And I mean, I'll be honest.
It was a pinchy moment for me. Yeah.
The reason I know about the Bluebird is, and people can laugh at me, is because of Nashville. I watched
a lot of people. I totally get it. So, but yeah, for me, it was like one of those things when I was growing up. I think it was actually, now that we're thinking about it, it was, I think, Faith Hill's. Do you remember VH1's Behind the Music?
Yeah.
I was watching that and she was playing the Bluebird in Nashville and some guy saw her and was like, here's a record deal you're going to be. And then it was like, the more I watched country music artists, like their background of things, it was this common denominator. Like for them, it all kind of started at the Bluebird. So for me, when I was growing up, aside from the Opry, the Bluebird was like Madison Square Garden, so I was like, that's going to be a thing for me one day. And then when I got asked to do it, I think I cried a couple times, but I made it through. So that was good, but I did it. So that was fun.
Did your heart stop when you got that call?
I think I blacked out. I don't even know. It's one of those, like, I got so excited that I think I just blacked out. I don't even know.
You didn't get the precursor.
There's video, so I like to watch it.
You didn't get the precursor of, maybe you should sit down before we talk to you.
No, it was just like hey, you want to come do this? And I'm like, well, where is it? The Bluebird. Yep.
And you also have done a Grand Ole Opry pre-show. I know it wasn't at the Grand Ole Opry per se.
It's on the grounds. I want to be behind the door, but I've been in front of the door now twice. So that makes me very happy.
That's a start, because there's a lot of people that haven't gotten that far.
Yeah, it was a very big deal, but that's, that was one of those lucky things. And we've made a lot of really good friends down here who kind of have our back and really want to see us do this for real. So they've been very helpful. And a lot of the people at the Opry are part of that. So it's been awesome.
So how long do you think before you actually get behind the door?
Oh, God, I don't know. The sooner the better. I'm not getting any younger.
Well, I mean, you do know some good people. I mean, if you're at Blake Shelton's place a good bit, who's to say that maybe you don't get to go and tour with him one day?
Oh, wouldn't that be the big? We love our boss man very much. So I would be honored.
I'm sure. Now, did Andrew and Matthew, did they come down with you from New York, or did you find them in Nashville?
I actually found them down here. Andrew was actually from Jersey, so not too far from where Richie and I grew up. And we had some mutual friends, but like a meant to be kind of thing. He happened to move to Nashville the same week that we did.
Okay.
It was just a weird thing. And we had Richie had hit up Andrew like, hey, I see we have a couple friends, I saw you just moved here too. You want to go out and have some drinks and talk about music stuff? And I really don't think we even talked about music when we first initially met. I think we just had a great time and hung out. And I think we might've played trivia. I don't even know, but we became friends first. And then it was like, hey, you want to kind of join a band? And then Matt was the same way. We were looking for somebody to kind of balance us out, somebody that would sing with me, not necessarily Lady Antebellum style, but somebody who could definitely sing background vocals to me, and that kind of a thing. And we did the same thing with him. Like, hey, you want to meet up for a couple drinks and see how we click? And it was another one. We just immediately clicked, all four of us. And it's been pretty damn good to us so far. So we're very happy that this worked out.
Well, it's meant to be when things just fall into place like that.
Right. And that's how it felt, because it was like, what are the odds? Like, we literally, Andrew moved down here the same week that we did without knowing each other. And it was weird, but it was pretty cool.
Trust me, I understand about fate playing a role in things all the time.
I get that.
I get it. And, here's my question for you too, which I have all these questions for you, but when you think about the fact that you were in 2019, you guys formed the band, you guys have singles out. Actually, it was a little bit before 2019, but you started your stride, you start going up the charts and everything.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, you're playing gigs live and everything. And then all of a sudden the pandemic hit. And I know for some other musicians that were touring, it was really hard. So how hard was this for you guys?
Oh, it was devastating. Because we had just put out our debut album. We had no idea how it did as well as it did. It's a top 20 album on iTunes, it was insane. And we were like, oh my God, we can do this. And then because of that and like the connections we kind of made around town, it was like we had all of 2020 lined up. Like it was going to be our year, it was like we had so many shows. And it was like that first week after like everything was kind of shutting down and we all thought it was going to be for 2 weeks. I got a couple text messages just saying like, hey, like, let's reschedule for May. Like, let's reschedule for like, and it was just, it kept kind of pushing this thing off. And it was like, come mid-April, all of the wind had been taken out of our sails. And it was just like, now what? And then it was, like, we've got bills to pay. This is how we were doing this. We were making money. It's been, so good to us. And we had everything. We had something to kind of jump off of at the time. And it's like when this was knowing that it was eventually going to be over. But when it was going to be over, we're going to have to start all over again, and it was like, at least a lot of these people who had all these tours and stuff lined up and, whatever, they already had that, like this was our time to be like our intro into everything, and it got taken away. So that was devastating. We all got day jobs. I worked at the hospital up until a couple months ago. Like it was, what else do we do? And it was like, it was devastating because all of a sudden it became like we weren't musicians anymore, and that sucked, but it worked out. So we're back.
It's kind of like every musician's nightmare come true, because you have to get a day job. You have to quit what you're doing and get a day job, and that's just not cool.
It's just away from the feel. I mean, it's it's a hit to the ego, but you pride yourself on, I'm a musician. I'm a professional musician. This is what I do for a living. And then it's like, well, when are you doing that again? So, and nobody knew. So it was devastating.
It pulls that whole identity thing in. I mean, we all have identities, and this is taking away that identity. The one thing, I have to say though, is if you really didn't have a lot of support and your album was still in the top 20 on iTunes, that says a lot about the music and what you created.
Yeah, we're very proud of it.
So going forward, I know you have some tour dates, but and I saw on Facebook that you're going to be dropping more. Are you planning on a bigger tour across the country, or are you just going to be playing Nashville and building from there?
We're getting out of town. We're very excited about it. We've actually got some things lined up. We have a couple, we're trying to figure out, I mean, like, we're not there yet that we've got a bus to get us out and all that kind of stuff. So when we do it, it needs to be in like little increments. But we've got a good couple, like Thursday through Sunday type show things where we'll be kind of making a trek up the Northeast type of a thing. And I know in June we're going down to Panama City Beach. We got a couple things maybe out west that we might, we've got a couple things that we do have in the works, and we're just excited to get out to Tennessee.
Oh, I'm sure. And I'm sure there's a lot of fans that are across the country that want to see you.
Yeah, we've met, honestly, doing the Broadway thing that we've been doing with Ole Red. It's been like the biggest blessing for us, because every weekend we meet new people from all over the world. And so it's like touring without ever us having to leave.
That's awesome.
Like they're changing every weekend to come see us. So it's been very good to us. And then we have the radio singles that we had last year and stuff. So that's been pretty cool. So we have people who are across the country who've heard that. So it's like we've got a little bit of a fan base, a little bit everywhere at this point. So that's been pretty cool to see.
Do you think Shut Me Up is going to get some airplay?
Oh God, I hope so. I hope so. That's the goal.
I mean, I know you have to grow it and promote it, and you have to go on a lot of podcasts and a lot of talk shows and say the same questions and have, same answers, same questions. So what is the hardest part about being a singer?
For me, it's probably this stuff. Because this isn't my forte. I don't like to talk about myself like this kind of, so I take it in stride. I don't mind doing it, but out of everything, for me, my favorite thing to do is perform. So as long as I'm doing that and we're getting on a stage and I get to play and sing for people, then I'm happy doing everything else that I got to do to keep this going, Right. And I mean, you get to be, when you're on stage, you're in a zone. I don't want to say you get to be a character, but you get to put on it. You don't have to. Well, you can. No, you're there. You are so there, because it's like a joke that we say it all the time. Like, I have friends who know me personally before all of this kind of stuff. And it's like, you're schizophrenic, because that girl is not that, it's the truth. She's a different animal. So it's totally.
You put on a stage persona. I mean, even as a podcaster.
Oh yeah.
I've done it because, I talked about this because last year my husband died, and when I hit that, well, it was 2020 actually, but when I hit that year anniversary, I had 2 podcasts that day, and I'm still being just fine.
Ugh,
However, as soon as I shut the camera off, yeah, I was crying.
of
But
course.
it's one of those things where when you put yourself in public, whether it is as a singer or podcaster or whatever, you have to put yourself in a certain position where people are going to relate to you, and you have to put it on a persona.
Yeah, and it sucks because there's been plenty of times when, I'm so sorry to hear about your husband, but we've definitely had those types of moments where we've lost somebody in our family, or we've had medical emergencies going on, like where it's, you don't want to even be doing this right now, but we're already here and it's already part of the, you've signed the contracts and this is what you got to do. And this is what people are paying you for. So show up and do your job. And
Yeah.
those times it feels like a job, so, cause you can't call out. Who else is going to come up and say, guys, what are you going to do? So that's definitely something I can totally relate to, when you have to put on that face and pretend like everything is just fine. But as soon as you're done, everything comes crumbling down.
And I think that's, when you're a public figure, people don't really look at that. They expect you to be perfect all the time. And the
All
fact
the time.
is, you are a human being, and you're going to, what I write about is I write about the music industry in Hollywood. And I write about the fact that they may look like they have perfect lives, but the truth is they don't.
Oh, yeah, totally. And I think with social media and stuff, that kind of has played into that facade, because everything that you see on social media, for the most part, everybody's only showing you the good. It's the highlight reel. That's
Mhm.
it. So you don't see everything else that has gone into, you don't see all of the crying and the mishaps and the money spent and the money lost and all of the train wrecks before this single came out, but now you have the good result of it. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it's totally there. And it's hard because you have to portray that, the world is fine and everything's great.
Well, look at reality TV for a second. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
reality TV, everybody's like, oh, well, look, no, folks. Most of the time, reality TV is not real.
Oh, yeah.
But most people are like, oh, yeah, it is. Okay.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Agree to disagree.
Mhm. I think my favorite story, and it's about a band. And I was talking to somebody, and it was during COVID, and she's like, well, the band wouldn't lie to us about who was sick with COVID. The band wouldn't lie to us at all. And I just looked at her and I was just like, yeah, they would. She goes, no, they wouldn't. I'm like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Because
I'm not going to condone lying to the fans, but come on.
I mean, and I'm not saying that's why we have publicists. That's why people have PR agents. That's why people have fixers, because I mean, this has been going on in Hollywood since when? Since it started.
Absolutely.
So, and I'm not trying to get into a dicey conversation here. It just went that
Oh,
way.
no, no,
So,
you're fine. But I totally agree. I get it.
and it's amazing because so many people want to believe the dream that they don't look at the downside. It's like, I want to be a singer, but I'm not going to look at the potential. And there was somebody on my show that had been on The Voice, and he was very honest about what Blake had told them about the contract. But
Mm-hmm.
people look at it as the brass ring, and it's like, you really need to read the fine print of that brass ring.
We have a lot of, I am not even going to touch that subject
No, I
because
don't want you. I don't
he
want you
is
to.
my boss man, but
I don't want you to.
oh yeah, no. We have a lot of friends who are on The Voice, have competed on The Voice, who are, and all of them are Team Blake, oh yeah, if you think for a second that any of those kind of shows aren't premeditated, you're crazy.
Right. And I
Come
mean,
on.
I'm not, it's no offense to anybody, and
Oh yeah,
it's entertainment. And I
and that's exactly
appreciate,
it. It has to be entertaining.
and
That's it.
that's with anything. But you have to read the fine print, and it's whether you're an author, a singer, or whatever. If you're going to get into something, you have to read the fine print.
Oh yeah, totally
Even,
agree.
even if it's not reality TV, even if you think, hey, this man's handing me my dream, is he handing
Mm,
you your dream, or is he going to take advantage?
I'm gonna take your money. Yeah, there's that.
Because there's the people that'll sit there and say, I'll make you a star, and have no idea what they're doing. But anyway, this is aside, and I apologize.
No, you're fine.
So what, let me ask you this. How is Richie handling the fact that now he's really immersed into, I know you say occasionally he gets into his little punk playing, but I mean, does he like have a side project that he goes off and works on, or does he just
He does. Well, actually, all of the guys. I don't know how familiar you are with Nashville and like our little music industry thing down here, because it is different than everywhere else. We have a lot of people who are hired guns, and a lot of the bands that are on Broadway that a lot of these people come down and see. It's usually for it's 99.9% of the time a solo artist who is the lead singer, and that's the name that you'll see. And all of the people who are playing in the band have all met that day at that time while they were getting on stage, shook each other's hands and said, hey, thanks for doing this. That's it. It's the funniest thing. But we're so used to it. And so many people do, like we all kind of do the same types of songs. We all kind of do the same genre of things. So we're all kind of well-versed in where everybody's going to be going. So the guys are all really good at going out and doing things to help people out who need somebody. So Richie, at any given time, if there is something where it pops up that it might be more rock based, more punk rock based, he will totally jump on that. But I think he's fully embraced the country music lifestyle. So it's been fun. I'm sure. Definitely been a transition, but he likes it.
We all always want to go back to our roots occasionally. That's why I had to ask.
Oh, yeah.
So when you think about where you're going, is there going to be another single? Are you going to release another record this year? How are you?
Well, we have been in the studio. We do have a handful of new songs that are recorded and ready to go. We're trying to figure out how we want to do it. I think the streaming thing has really kind of taken away that body of work that everybody used to make. When we came out, we did 7, and it was the 7 songs that it was a body of work, and it was our album, and we loved what we did with it. And now it's like things have kind of turned where they want a new single every month. They don't want the whole thing. It's like people don't want to give you any more time than 3.5 minutes. They want something else to do. So we're not sure if we're going to put it out as a body of work, like as an album type of a thing, because we do have quite a few songs. We may put out a couple singles over, the next couple months, and then put out all the rest of it as an album. We haven't really gotten to the logistics of it, but we do have the intention of putting out quite a few more songs this year.
I understand that because my cat is here.
My cat is scratching at the door like, let me in.
She would be worse if I did that. If I locked her out, it would not be good.
I get it.
But the thing is, I've talked to a lot of musicians who talk that is the way, because of the streaming services. Everybody wants a new song each month.
Yeah, it's hard.
And I have a gentleman coming on next week who he was on my show back in September, released a single, and he's released a single a month, and now he's put it all together and he's coming back to do the record. So, I mean, I've talked, but it's like I've talked to different people doing different things. Some people do the whole album, but let's be honest, Netflix kind of got to start it with that.
Totally.
Binge everything.
Totally. I agree.
And I mean,
they're the culprits.
It's the best way to, it's like what started reality TV, the real world, I mean, you can go back and trace the roots of it. Instant gratification is totally Netflix. Come on.
Oh yeah, of course.
We can binge and binge and binge. So will there be a video for Shut Me Up?
We have talked about it. We were actually just talking about it last week. I think that would be the next move, because we do really like this song. So we want to, give everybody a little bit of every version of it. So I think making a video might be our next step.
Do videos do as well, do you think, as they used to?
Because there's nowhere to watch them anymore.
No. Well, CMT still shows them occasionally, don't they?
Yeah, CMT. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so maybe we can put out a music video and send it off to them. So hopefully, the only thing that I will say when it comes to the videos, Ole Red is very good about that with us. They have our music video for Have Nothin Nice comes on all the time. So that's to have, a new song up on the video screen there. But otherwise, for the most part, it's YouTube, that kind of a thing. But maybe we can get involved with CMT though.
Well, I know that Spotify now sometimes plays videos too.
Yeah, I saw something like that. I'm not sure how that goes.
It's Spotify. Which that's a whole other thing about the streaming services. It's like, while you get to, for people, they get to learn who you are. They get to see the new artists. They get to check out new music. And it's a great thing, but you guys don't make a lot of money off of it.
Oh, no. Ooh, hang on. I hear you.
I hear you now. Yes, there you are.
We're in the middle of getting those storms that were just all the tornadoes in Mississippi. So
ooh.
Yeah, so it's now coming this way. So if anything happens, I'm going to blame it on that.
Okay, no worries. I can edit it out. It's not a big deal.
No worries.
So I was going to, what I was going to say about, the streaming services as an author, it's the same thing with Kindle Unlimited. Same thing.
Oh yeah, you get nothing. And it's so hard. But like I was saying, Spotify for us has been the hardest of all of the streaming platforms, because when we had originally put out our music back in 2019, it was the first time we had ever done such a thing. There is still another artist. It's a group. They're in the hip hop genre, but their name is Hudson Valley. And when we put our stuff up, Apple Music, iTunes, Amazon, Pandora, everybody else got it right, except for Spotify. So they put up all of our music under this. And we still, to this day, so we've been working since we got Shut Me Up out to kind of fix it, but it's because it's so algorithm based. All of our fans, anybody who gets asked or suggested to listen to Hudson Valley, hey, you might like this, it's all rap people and all hip hop artists, because that was where our music first went to. So because of that, our algorithm for Spotify has never really bounced back. And we've talked to them about it, and they're like, we can't really delete you and then and it's just been a whole thing. So it's been a process for us to try to kind of get into more country playlists and getting more country fans to follow us. And it just sucks because, we have this new song out. We want it to be shared with people who may not know of us yet, but they listen to Old Dominion and, hey, they cut this song. It's a version of theirs, maybe you'd like it. It just, that kind of has been deterred because of the algorithm. So everybody else has gotten it right. It's just Spotify. So they're my least favorite as of right now.
Algorithms are the bane of our existence sometimes.
Right. Oh, it's so bad.
So are you hoping for a TikTok video, a viral trend with one of your songs?
I mean, of course, sure. Why not?
It's just weird.
However it works, it works. I want people to like it. So however they listen to it or however they find it, I'm okay.
It's just one of those things, because not all artists license their music to TikTok. So are you planning on doing that, or is that something that...
I actually don't know if I'm licensed to TikTok.
I don't know either. I mean, I didn't check. It was something that popped in my head. And I know now that if you share something on Instagram that's from TikTok and you have a song, usually Instagram will flag it with the proper artist and tag it.
Oh, well, that's something to know. I know that we've gotten videos of people using our songs.
Then it's okay.
So but it must be there, I guess.
Yeah.
We're really not good at TikToking. we're trying.
TikTok is a whole adventure all into itself.
Absolutely.
It totally is. So the song, let's talk about the song a little bit, because I know that's what you really came here for. So the strawberry stuff.
No, I love talking to you. It's been great.
The strawberry stuff's on my lips, you like so much. Mm-hmm. I noticed that in the lyrics that this has this little asterisk by it and has your name by it. So was this your main part of the collaboration here, or?
I noticed that too. I didn't realize that it was done like that. Because it is a cover of an Old Dominion song. The way that we had been playing it, I just kind of switched some things up, because the way that he says it is, that strawberry stuff is on your lips that I like so much. And because it's, it's coming from the girl version of it, I just wanted to kind of tweak it a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
just to make it more makes sense.
Well, that's why I had to ask, because I saw that highlight and I'm like, well, I need some clarification there in case somebody's listening. It's like, Well, you always wonder about that though, because, how many times growing up for me, I'm singing a male song and, you're going to change the words a little bit because you're a girl.
Of course. Like Britney Spears, when she covered Bobby Brown, like they're like, you're just going to switch it. It's not going to be the boy, like, or however you prefer it, but it was just that it worked for me that way. So that was the way I did it.
Well, and back then, nowadays you could just sing it the original way.
That's it's all preference at this point.
It's all what you choose.
Exactly.
So, you also had something on Radio DisneyCountry. How did you manage that one while this, your 7 record or your 7 EP? How did you manage to get on DisneyCountry?
It was just the distribution of it. That was our single at the time. Our first single that we put out from 7 was Can't Have Nothin Nice. So we pushed the hell out of it. We kind of, sent it off to whoever would listen to us. And, we were riding the wave of it's from this top 20 album, check it out. And the people over at Radio DisneyCountry at the time loved it. And they were like, we're gonna play it. So that was the first time that I had ever heard my song on the radio. And then we also all got to hear it together as a band for the first time. And that was very, very cool.
What was that feeling like?
Oh, it was so exciting. It was just nice because you don't expect it, because you never really know when it's going to happen. So you're just kind of listening with the hopes of, hey, maybe it'll come on while I'm vacuuming or, like one of those kind of things. You just put it on and listen. And when it happens, it was the first time that we got to hear like those radio introductions, like that kind of a thing. And it was like, well, this is the new one from the band Hudson Valley. And I'm like, oh my God. Like it was so cool. We had so much fun. It was a blast.
Do your parents have any video or audio tapes of you as a kid? The only reason I asked this is because recently I found an old cassette of a song that I had played bass on, an original that I had done. And it was like, I didn't even know I had this. And I found some old cassettes. I'm like, let me put this in. I was like, oh, really? So I'm just curious. And if they have you ever watched yourself again and gone, oh no?
I hate watching myself even like today, even from the shows last weekend. I'm like, no.
I understand.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. But of course, I always sang. So I was always performing. So somebody was always recording me. And like I said, because I was doing jingles and stuff like that, I had gone in to do like a couple of demos as a kid, like literally just karaoke tracks in a studio though, like when I was 10, and my mom has that, so there's a couple things that I'm sure will come out eventually, but I know like if you like Google the jingles, they're there, that kind of a thing. Like it's so funny, but they definitely have them. I'm not, gonna watch them anytime soon, but they're there.
It's a good thing I didn't know about the jingles beforehand.
See, so now I'm bad I said something.
I won't. I'll go check, but I won't share. We'll just say that.
Okay.
And I will go ahead right now and put on Shut Me Up for the listening audience so they can check it out.
I love that.
You off the tip of my tongue, you're running through my head again. Like one of those summer sing-along songs you play it once and you're stuck in there. I'm either talking about you or thinking about you, running my mouth about being without you to all my friends.
back. So I think this song's going to be a hit. I really do. I think, a couple of years from now, you're going to get your wish and be behind the door.
From your mouth to God's ears, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Those kind of things.
Let me ask you this. If you could collaborate or perform with any artist, who would it be?
Oh, I don't even know. I have so many, and then we all have, for each one of us in the band, we all have different idols, different reasons why we do this. I think as a group, though, we would all agree that if we could do anything with somebody, particularly because we just, covered their song, we would love to do something with Old Dominion. We have this whole HVOD tour thing. It would be very cool. I think our fan bases would kind of overlap. So that would be cool.
To do this cover, you had to get permission, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
So since you've been talking to them or their people.
Yeah. No, we actually, when we first went into the studio, it was like a fluke. I was just recording the guys while they were kind of doing stuff. And I sent it from our page. I kind of slipped on into their DMs. And I was just like, hey, hope you don't mind, but we're going to do this. And they were like, well, wait, which song? And we're like, so we started talking through Instagram that way in our DMs. And then as we got closer to the final product of it, we had sent it over to them again. And they said they liked it. So they said it was fire. So that was
awesome.
That was all I needed.
Now, wouldn't it be great if you could put the video together and have them cameo in it somewhere?
Oh my God, you're giving me great ideas. Wouldn't that be fun?
Wouldn't it? That. And think of the potential plays you could get.
Oh yeah. I like this idea. We have to do that. Slip on into the DMs again. Hey, we're making a video. Come hang out.
What is the worst that they're going to say? No.
Exactly.
You got to try. You have to try and do things. So when do you think, I know you just released a single, but I'm going to ask anyway. So do you think next month you're going to do a single, or you're going to wait and try to figure it out and ride it a little bit?
Well, now that you've given me the idea to make a music video and stuff for it, I don't know. we might have to get in and get that kind of stuff done and ride this a little bit more and see what we can get out of it and see what kind of traction we can get. But like I said, we have a handful of songs that we are very eager to get out. So they will be out sooner rather than later. Absolutely.
Makes sense. If you got something that you can work with it and you can blend it all together, i.e. the video, i.e. a guest spot, maybe.
Oh yeah. Hey.
And, you can see where it goes. The collaboration may go somewhere. It may not.
You never know. Stranger things have happened.
Are they going to be, will they do a tour anytime soon?
I think they're going out on tour with Kenny Chesney. So.
Okay. But who's to say one day you couldn't go out on tour with them?
I know. So I said, you guys are opening for people. The headliners will be your direct support. We got you.
Mm-hmm. Nothing wrong with that. Somebody was telling me about a show that they went to that was Prince, Bowie, and somebody else. And I'm just like, okay, so
how do you organize that layout?
This was when Prince was first starting, I think. So it was kind of okay, I get it now. But still.
Holy guacamole. Could you imagine having Prince open for you? Oh my God.
Prince opening for Bowie.
That's a hell of a show.
Yeah. And I went to a hell of a show. I went to Live Aid.
Oh, wow. See?
Yeah. That was a crazy show. But Prince and Bowie, that's a whole different kind of fiasco.
I like that. I can't even imagine the kind of trouble that happened afterwards.
Yeah. So, all right, let's see. We've talked about the tour. We've talked about the record. So where do you see yourself going? Do you see yourself branching out maybe besides, because some singers decide to get into acting. Would you ever be interested in doing that? Or being a spokesperson?
Oh, I don't know. I'm very much a stick to what you're good at kind of thing. I think it's flattering. We've had people ask to do, that kind of stuff. And I know what I'm good at. So I'm going to stick to this.
It's one of those things. And that brings in a valid question though, of if somebody, because I know some musicians do not want their music licensed to do commercial products, to be featured in ads. How do you feel about that? Is that something that you would be opposed to, or you're like, hey,
absolutely not. No, okay. I am for when it comes to the music. However, you're going to get more people to hear it or potentially look for us, then I'm all for it. Yep. I just don't want to be acting.
I understand. I mean, how many songs have you seen on an iPhone commercial that somebody has ended up downloading because it was a catchy song?
Absolutely. It happens all the time. We know people down here who do that literally for a living, who just make like little jingle type things, for commercials.
Yeah.
And they make a living out of it. Yeah.
Barry Manilow did it.
See? Clearly there's something to it.
He actually, on a live album, wow, yes, I'm going to age myself, that my mother listened to in the 70s, he actually had on his live album all the jingles he had done in one song.
Oh my God, that's so fun. It
was fun. It was wild. And it was great for a car trip.
Oh yeah.
Because you could join in.
Because everybody knows.
Exactly. So how long do you think is it a residency over at Ole Red?
It is, it's kind of like a yearly thing that we kind of figure stuff out. It worked out that we are there every Saturday night, and we do change things up depending on, who's coming into town. We have a couple friends who come into town from California once a month. So when they do that, like we switch shifts off so that they can be there on a Saturday night, because they're only there Friday and Saturday, so we'll do Friday instead of, but we are there every week. So that's but for up until like this month, it's been every Saturday night. So we're kind of, actually April looks like it's going to be every Saturday night too. So it's just how it goes.
But that's not a bad thing. I mean, you have a steady gig and dare I say it's a residency. It's not much different than, I would say, playing Vegas, but Vegas, you would have more shows, but it's still kind of the similar situation.
Yeah. Cause we're in the same spot, and it's, we do play other places. We have a couple places downtown that technically aren't on Broadway. The Wild Horse Saloon. It's like the biggest room down there. It's 3 floors. It's gigantic. Wow. It's like a legit concert place. We play there usually once a month, if not twice a month, but weekly you can find us at Blake Shelton's Ole Red, and that's our home base. And
you're going to be playing Whiskey Jam, is that correct?
Yeah, we're back at Whiskey Jam in April. Yep.
So, Run Mascara Run. I'm going to dig into a couple of your songs before I let you out of here. Run Mascara Run. Did you write that, and what was the inspiration?
I did. And aside from Shut Me Up, all of our songs. Mascara was, at the time, one of my co-writers, she had, it was actually Austin. She had the title, Run Mascara Run, which I find so funny because Dolly just put out a song, Run Rose Run. And I'm like, like, not funny. And because she had this title, we just kind of, there was like a vision of, mascara running down your face when you're crying and you're just angry and you're running. And it was like originally, like our song about makeup, but it was more about running away from something. And that's what the song kind of encompasses, is that it's, when you've had enough and you want to get out and you're running, even if the mascara is running down your face. And it was, that song in particular is a fan favorite. So it's a pretty ballsy song, especially when we do it live. So it's cool.
And Right Place Now. I mean, that kind of, dare I say, sounds like your whole story though, because when you went to Nashville, everything was the right place. Everything fell into place.
That's exactly why I wrote it.
So see there.
Like to the T. We were leaving the Grand Ole Opry, my parents and I, the first time I had ever been to Nashville, first time my parents had ever been to Nashville. It was 2017. I was coming down here to write for the first time with people. And I wanted to have a song idea for the next day. And we had went to go see Vince Gill and Carly Pierce and Darius Rucker were playing at the Opry that night. And I've always dreamed of just even seeing the Opry. So to see a show was huge. And we were leaving and my mom had said something like, "You're finally in the right place." And I was like, that's the title. Like, it was Right Place. And I was like, right place now. Like, wasn't sure how I was going to go about it. But that was how the song, I brought it to my co-writers and said, this is, my idea. And then as we were writing it, it became a little bit more of a love song type thing. And then it kind of turned into a song about my husband. So it's a little bit of both of those things. It's, being in Nashville, which is the right place for me, and being with my husband is the right place for me to be. So that was kind of how that whole song came to be.
Well, and the thing is, when you are talking about the right place, it's like being in Nashville is the right place for you. And that's important because so many times we don't find our home. Yeah. We don't know where our home is. So if you have your home, number one, that's awesome. And then when you have your partner, your spouse, your husband, that is even more important.
Right.
Because you feel whole.
Oh, yeah. And it was because I'm from New York, knowing that literally since I was born, this was all I've ever wanted to do. Being a country singer isn't really feasible in New York.
No.
So it was like, no matter what, I knew I was never going to be here my whole life. Like, I needed to be in Nashville. And that was just kind of how it worked. And it was, thank God we finally did it. But yeah, we're in the right place now. So it's good.
So do you ever see a lot of the legends walking around Nashville? I mean, I don't imagine it's a big thing to get starstruck, but
it's different. Like you brought up Keith before, not starstruck by him. I did get to meet his wife that weekend, and that was Nicole Kidman. Yes. Striking.
I imagine.
But when it comes to the artists, like, it's, we all kind of do the same thing. It's just we're all at different levels of it. And I think that's like one of the biggest appeals of Nashville, is that so many people, especially with the bars that are owned by, the guys, a lot of people anticipate seeing country artists just kind of walking around, or that they think that, they always think that Blake Shelton's at the bar all the time. Like, he's there frequently, but for the most part, unless he wants you to know he's there, you won't know he's there, that kind of a thing. I'll give you a little fun tidbit of information. A lot of people who do this for a living, we hang out in Midtown. Everybody goes to Broadway. That is not where we go. So if you really want to see Chris Young sitting at a bar next to Miranda Lambert, you go to Midtown, because you will. And that's the coolest part about it.
And that's the thing. People assume that once you have encountered celebrity, you look at them and if you really understand, they're just normal people.
Oh yeah, totally.
I mean, that's the thing. It's like, we're all normal people. They may have more notoriety. They may have a better house. They may have more money, but guess what? They have some of the same issues we do. Just a little bit more expensive.
Facts.
So, I mean, I know it seems crazy to ask you the starstruck question, but some people are still starstruck when they meet somebody. And Nicole Kidman, that's a whole different. When I think of Nicole Kidman, I think of like Moulin Rouge and
I think Birdseed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, don't even know.
Yeah,
I was like, oh my gosh, and it was awesome.
But to be able to perform, with him, and to be able to work for Blake, that is something you have to give yourself credit for and kudos to, because not everybody gets those shots.
Yeah. No, we don't take that for granted in the least. We are very aware of what we've done in a short amount of time and how lucky we've been to do what we've done in a very short amount of time.
Well, and I have to say this, you're also very humble.
Oh, thank you.
a lot of people, when they get into this industry, their egos grow, and they don't come across as humble. And you come across as very humble.
Met a lot of those people. And that's one of my biggest things. Like, I've been called a lot of things in my lifetime. I don't think anybody could ever call me a diva. And that I take pride in, because that's not my MO.
No, and what does being a diva get you?
Look at Mariah Carey. I don't know. Nobody says nice things about her.
Right. I mean, you can be a diva or you can be humble and people like you.
Yeah. I'd much prefer that. So.
Indeed. Well, it's been a blast. And
I loved this.
Good. And I wish you great success. And like I said, if you ever want to come back, I'm going to have all our social links in the show notes, and go download Shut Me Up.
Yes.
Support Hudson Valley. And if you're in Nashville, go check her out. Go check them out.
Oh, yes. There are 3 are not here with me, but yes, they are.
I know.
Definitely here.
I was wondering at first if I was actually going to get to meet all of you guys, but I'm happy I got to meet you.
Sorry. You just got me tonight.
Well, that's fine. You've been a delight to talk to, and I thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me, Dawn. I really appreciate this.
No problem. So Sarah is an absolute delight. I enjoyed talking to her, and their song "Shut Me Up." I hope you guys liked it. I enjoy it. And while it's a cover, it doesn't, covers of different songs not only represent the actual artist that wrote them, the new artist gives it a totally different interpretation and something that you can enjoy even more sometimes. But we're not only talking about Shut Me Up, and I hope you download it because you really should. It's a great song, and Hudson Valley deserves the support. They had all those strides before the pandemic, and it's time to bring them back. I think, honestly, yeah, they're going to get behind that door at the Grand Ole Opry. And while I say it's a team effort. It's a joint effort with the guys in the band and Sarah. So I think that if they keep pushing and they get the support, and if they get to tour, you definitely should go check them out. They're going to make this dream come true. And who knows? And I didn't even go there with her, but who knows? They may end up on CMT. They may end up at the Country Music Awards. Imagine that. Dreams do come true, they say. And I think Sarah has a possibility of making this dream come true with the guys in the band. So on that note, I hope you check the song out and download it. If you have missed an episode of the Better 2 podcast, because we were on hiatus for a bit, you can check it out at www.better2podcast.com. So you can catch up on all the shows from seasons 1 through 4. And all our social media links are there as well. If you would like to check out anything about me, I have a website at dmneedham.com, and you can find my books there, my readings, everything you need to know, and my other podcast as well. And this week we will not be having a B2D2 live podcast, but next week we will be having our first guest of Jim Flynn. So definitely check us out. Make sure to tune in live at noon Central Time for the B2D2 podcast on YouTube and Facebook Live. And who knows who else I might have? Sarah may come back. And maybe she'll bring some friends. Who knows? Anyway, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. And thanks, as always, to Rich Zai for doing the audio on this. And as always, this is sponsored by dmneedham.com and Kitty Mystic. So I hope you have a wonderful day, evening, weekend, whenever you're listening to this. And I'll catch you next time, guys. Bye. The Better 2 podcast is mixed, edited, and produced by Rich Zai of Third Ear Audio Productions.